Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. So this feels like a good opportunity to go through some top tips to just becoming a better FPL manager. Some of these tips are being put together from my own experience over 30 odd years of playing FPL, but also some of the best players that have ever played the game. Listening to what they've said, what they do, picking up on those good habits. While we wait for the launch, it feels like a good opportunity to just go back over these. I'm definitely going to benefit from these. I've not put them in any particular order over priority, but I just think all these you might find useful and they just might give you an edge if you're winning your mini league or doing your overall rank, the world of good. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit subscribe. In the meantime, let's get on with it. I think we'll start off with probably my favourite phrase and best bit of advice. Never judge a decision by its outcome. It's come pretty much the mantra of this channel since we started at the beginning of last year. I love it. If a player has got great XGI, if a player's got good fixtures, the form is there, the price is right, it looks like a good decision to bring him in. By all accounts, it probably is a good decision to bring him in. If it doesn't pan out, if he doesn't get the points, for some reason, that decision doesn't pay in dividends in terms of points, it doesn't mean it was a bad decision. That's what it means. Never judge a decision by its outcome. I brought in last season, I can think probably the most recent example of this was me bringing in Mason Mount. I could have gone Son, I had him in my side. Looking back, the decision to not have Son as captain and put Mount in, you could say, well, that was a bad decision. It was a least obvious decision. I went for Mount because I thought, wanted to push my rank beyond 25k. Let's see if I can get it even higher. Took a little bit of a punt. You know what though? Mount had a great XGI. He had a fixture at home to a relegated side. The form was there. The price was right. I can't now turn around and say it was a poor decision. It just wasn't. It just didn't come. It didn't happen the way I'd like to. So I think by having this philosophy of never judge a decision by its outcome kind of gives me some sanity really. I'm not always beating myself up. I always look back and go, oh, do you know what? I didn't have that player in, but it didn't make sense to have him in. So I kind of get some sort of calmness and inner peace, if you like, from just knowing that judging a decision by its outcome, you don't. For making good decisions all the time, by bringing in players that fit the XGI, the fixtures, the form and the price, I'm just giving myself the best possible chance of getting points, getting a high rank, winning those mini leagues, whatever it may be. And that's what FPL is just all about, is trying to give yourself, put yourself in the best possible position to get those points. And as I think, never judge a season by its outcome. If you can stick with that and remember that phrase, I don't think you're going to go far wrong, and you're certainly not going to end up beating yourself up about it. Second one, never do your transfers early. This was a piece of advice I think I picked up off some of the top players at the beginning of last year. Previously, I would be a little bit more worried about price fluctuations, trying to get transfers through before they went up in price or down in value. I stopped worrying a little bit about that and just concentrated on that team news. I avoided having players come into the side that then got injured in European games, and I just listened to those team news, tried to leave it as the last possible minute, getting more information about them all the time, and that's how I based my transfers. So not doing them early, don't worry about the prices. I think there was one occasion last year where I did end up doing a transfer early. It didn't bite me. I did it when there was no European fixtures, so I knew there's a less chance of getting an injury, and it didn't hurt me. But I think in general this season coming, I'm not going to worry too much about prices. I'm just going to focus on that team information and not doing transfers early. Third piece of advice, really important, really helped me last couple of years, plan ahead. I think the normal sort of layman FPL manager will not look several weeks ahead. They might not see the fixture swings. They'll just look at the sort of short-term deal of at home to Bournemouth is a decent fixture. I want to bring him in. He's a great captaincy option, and he might be great, and he might really sort of hit it off for you. Whereas I would be doubtful bringing that player in because they're blanking in the next week, and they would have two difficult game weeks the following weeks. So already I'm saving myself a transfer. You just have to weigh it up. Is it worth bringing him in? If you've got a transfer to burn, you could. But always planning ahead, looking at those blank game weeks, especially in the last couple of seasons. Can I get through them without using a chip, without a free hit? What's my transfer plans longer term? Who am I keeping? Who do I want to bring in? Sort of redistributing the money to try and get those players. Planning ahead, just really crucial. I think it's the one thing that will differentiate you between the rest of your mini league, how seriously you take it. By listening to content providers like myself and others, they will help you do that. We'll be picking players all the time to look at on those watch lists and transfer plans. that will fit the medium to long term plan. So planning ahead, really important. If you're not sure, don't do it. That's another thing. I got, again, a little bit het up a few years ago, just the adrenaline rush of making transfers. I'd take hits sometimes and I'd automatically regret it. Top players say again, do not, if you're not sure about it, don't do it. Sometimes be patient with the players that you're bringing in. Don't necessarily jump them out after 1 or 2 blanks, which is always a temptation. Keep them, sell them, whatever it is. If you're not sure, if you've had the whole week to think about it and digest it, look at the information, you're still not sure, don't do it. I think I've got much better at that, and it hasn't hurt me so far last season. But I still need to remember these rules to make sure that I'm sticking to them. It's a useful guide to have. Again, if you're not sure, don't do it. I like that one. Don't kneejerk. I think that's quite an obvious one. Some players will just jump on, managers will jump on a player if they've done a good week, no matter what the stats don't back them up. Pogba first week got four assists in that first week. Statistically, he didn't have a great season the year before, so that seemed a bit of an anomaly, and that was backed up. In the next, 3, 6, 8 game weeks, he had 1 return, and that included a negative in there as well. So, don't knee-jerk. Look at the stats. Unless something has drastically changed in the team or his performance or what's happening on the pitch, then nothing really is going to change. There's almost a recency bias that we're sort of judged by. One good game and suddenly he's a player we're looking at. Everyone can have one good game. Are they consistently doing it over a period of time? That's when they become a good FPL asset. Try to avoid hits. I did really well last season. Only took 6 hits. Really pleased with that. I think it's down to planning. This really ties in with that. If you planned well, you can avoid hits. Sometimes it cannot be avoided. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take it. Sometimes it absolutely makes sense to do that. Larger hits, less sense, but I'm not saying again you shouldn't ever do that. There might be occasions when it does make sense to do it. However, I think good planning, you can avoid hits. Remember, you take a hit sometimes just through poor planning or unaware of fixtures coming up. You're 4 points down straight away. Building up over a season, that could cost you 20, 30, 40 points in your mini league over your rivals. That's quite a lot. That's a game week to make up. So try to avoid hits if you can, mainly through good planning. Fixtures over stats. I don't think there's a conscious effort in my mind to do fixtures over stats, but I have, looking back at my trend last season, really picked fixtures over stats. So if a player had some fixtures coming up like they're on a screen, Bournemouth, Southampton, Forest and Fulham, really nice fixtures. If he was playing up front, if he was nailed, the price was right, I don't think I'd mind the fact that his XGR was so low. I'd still possibly be looking at him as an option because those fixtures are still good. Certainly some players will definitely think stats are more important. They might have some really hard fixtures coming up, but if their stats are great, I'm happy to keep them. Their form is good, and I totally get that. Which sort of player are you? I think you need to be one or the other. So I think whenever you make your transfer plans, just what are you doing them on fixtures or stats? What are you basing them on? Pink was something we looked at and sort of made up at the start of last season. Basically, it involves a price of a player. If a player we're bringing in, if he's got a good price, he's in form, he's absolutely nailed on in that side and has kind fixtures, then he hits all 4 of those, then yeah, he's a player we're definitely interested in. So Pink's a bit of a formula that we developed. If he hits all of those things, these are players that I'm interested in. Price might just be, is he value? I'm not saying he's got to be a budget or enabler player, but if he's just budget, if he's good value for who he's playing and if fixtures he's got, then yeah, that might just mean a good price. Lastly, on number 8, chip strategy, really important. Again, a lot of players at my mini league will just throw chips at the start of the season, almost as if it's a sprint and not a marathon, and it's just a case of I want to get it in front, and they're worried about how far behind possibly they are in some cases. It's almost as if getting out in front gives you an advantage. Remember, it's where you end up after 38 weeks, not where you end up after 8 weeks that matters. 1 free hit is what we expect to get next season. Wildcard before Christmas and after Christmas will be what we're given. Triple captain, bench boost, and nothing's drastically changed. Those will be the chips we got. It makes sense to play that triple captain. Free hit in double game weeks are most likely to happen much later in the season when the FA Cup fixtures are coming around. So just be careful. Have a strategy. Don't burn those chips last minute thinking this is a good idea. Bench boosters, again, is there an opportunity later on the season to look at using new bench boosts? But having a strategy can make a big difference. If you've got a double game week coming up and someone's just got single players, they're taking hits to bring in double game week players, you've got a free hit to hit in and your side can then be re-strategized for the following week. Big amount of advantage you could have. Really could be the difference in your mini league. Lastly, the very last one we put on here, a bit controversial. I've put down weekly videos is what we'll do. We'll have team selection, watch list. I don't think just listening to one content provider is necessarily the way to go. I would love you to obviously watch us, hit that subscribe button, because we will give you team selections, watch videos, transfer plans, team reviews, all that sort of good stuff. They'll be coming out all the time, as well as free hit wildcards, strategy videos, all sorts of stuff. But it is a good idea, I think, sometimes to listen to quite a few, get some opinions. I've done a lot of that over the last couple of years. I'm almost going to take a step back from it, I think, because sometimes my judgment just gets a little bit clouded by too many opinions. So maybe just pick the ones that you respect and who you go for, but absolutely get some opinions and get some different team strategies out there. That's all for this one then, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button. Click on subscribe if you're new around here. Tell me of any tips that you think you would recommend to anyone starting FPL. In the meantime, good luck. Speak to you soon.